Chapter 1. The Roar of the Night. The wind roared through the night with a fierce howl and powerful winds that caused the limbs of the old western hemlock to tap a rhythmic thump on the side of the two-story house. A stream of light illuminated from the full moon through an opening in the dense clouds, highlighting the loneliness of the home resting in the quiet and dimly lit dirt road. The inside of the house was dark. Only the soft rays of moonlight entering through the opening and the curtains hanging from in front of the windows provided any light. My older brother Jacob was in his room asleep. His room was always a mess, and he never picked up his football pads from his floor. He would just drop them there when he got back from practice and only pick them up when he was going to practice on Monday or Wednesday or one of his games on Saturdays. He was always the cool, I don't care kind of kid with all the friends that loved him. Heck, it even felt like my parents loved him more than the rest of us most of the time. The star athlete with a bright future to play football for any college he wanted once he got through high school. My little sister, Riley, was kind of always just around, until she wasn't. One time, Riley was in the backyard with Jacob and I while we tossed the football back and forth, and she played with her toys. Then the next thing you know, she was gone. My parents found her 15 minutes later, walking on the sidewalk 2 blocks away. She said she was trying to get to her friend's house that was in another part of town, saying it isn't that far, and that she could get there just as fast as Mommy does when she is driving her car. At this time, Riley was only 5, but she never stopped being the adventurous type that wanted to explore the world one day. She had a picture of the dense Amazon forest with a rainbow-colored toucan flying above the tree line, hanging on her wall alongside other pictures of places in the world that she wanted to see and explore. She was sleeping in her princess bed covered with drapes hanging from the 4 pillars at each end of her bed frame. She was probably dreaming that she was standing at Engadine Valley in Switzerland watching the northern lights dance beautifully in the cold winter night sky. She would always say that this was the one place in the world that I want to see first when I get big. Then there's me. I'm Isaiah. I'm not particularly good or bad at much of anything. I like to play my video games and pretend I'm exploring torch-lit, monster-infested, treasure-hiding dungeons with my closest friend Evan. We pretend that we are exploring caves and have to fight off evil monsters while we search for gold and modified armor sets that power us up and give us special abilities. Similar to the board game Dungeons and Dragons, except we played live action in his backyard, and honestly, we didn't care who could see us while we were lost in our own little world. I couldn't sleep that night because of the prickly tree on the side of the house scratching against my bedroom wall at the furthest part of my room next to the closet, and of course it happened on the night I didn't close the door. For some reason, it felt like there was a monster from the other world that I traversed earlier in the day, with Devin lingering patiently for me to go to sleep. Like it followed me home, sneaking into my room when I was having dinner with my family earlier in the day. Standing there motionless, tapping its finger quietly on the closet door, with the rhythm of the tree that swayed viciously with the wind and bumping against the paneling of the house. The monster's nails gently dragging downward as they scratched against the wood grain, and the thumping slowly began to match the pounding of my heart. All sound dissipated and time seemed to slow to a halt, but my presence raced to be freed from this moment, its bloodshot eyes glaring at me fiercely, waiting for me to close mine so it could leap out and drag me back into its dark chasm within my very own closet. The worst kind of hell, one that is isolated, yet so close to home you could almost stretch out your hand from the darkness, allowing your fingertips to caress the light of your freedom, and yet the shrouded weight of the abyss restrains you from returning. One final bang of the tree sent a jolt of lighting down my spine and into my feet that gave me the courage to jump from beneath my sheets and dart across the room and out the door and quickly down the hall. I didn't stop running until the light of the TV from downstairs bounced off the hallway wall, and I could hear my mom and dad's weekly episode of The Walking Dead watching itself as they slept on the couch. I took a quick glance back at my room, and I could swear the monster stood in the doorway, lingering in the dark, beckoning me back to bed so it could watch over me while I slept. My concentration on the monster, brought to life from my own fear of the dark, was abruptly interrupted by a strange and unfamiliar noise that sounded as though someone was attempting to turn the handle of the kitchen door leading to the backyard. The sound of the knob quietly shifting from left to right, then back to its center, made the hairs on the rear of my neck stand up. I couldn't tell if the sound of it shifting back to center meant that the door was now open, and whomever was there was now possibly standing in our kitchen, and could now quietly walk over to my parents and do whatever their hearts would allow them to do. Chapter